Hey everyone! We are working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content and it is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button right now as we proceed. Subscribe to this channel right now and do not move, because what we are about to break down is not a tennis recap. It is the anatomy of a sporting earthquake. A seismic shockwave that started in the sun-drenched desert of Indian Wells, California, tore through the elite locker rooms of the WTA Tour, and erupted into absolute pandemonium in the packed streets of Manila. If you came here expecting a routine story about a promising young player grinding out a respectable result at a prestigious tournament, I need you to recalibrate every expectation you brought with you, because what Eala did today at the BNP Paribas Open does not fit inside any of the conventional frameworks the tennis media has been applying to her story. She did not just win a match. She did not just collect ranking points. She walked into the desert heat of Indian Wells, stared across the net at one of the most terrifying forces in modern women's tennis, and took her apart. Methodically. Ruthlessly. Brilliantly. Elena Rybakina, world number 3, former Wimbledon champion, reigning Australian Open champion, a 6-foot weapon with a serve that shatters spirits and a ground game built on flat, penetrating power that has destroyed the confidence of players ranked significantly higher than a 20-year-old from the Philippines, walked off that court with 54 unforced errors and a loss that she is going to be processing for a very long time. And the girl who put them all there dropped to her knees and wept. Let us establish the specific weight of who Elena Rybakina is before we go any further, because the significance of this result scales directly with the understanding of what Eala was actually walking into when she crossed the baseline and began warming up in that desert air. Rybakina is not a player you are supposed to beat at this level unless you are also a top 5 player with a Grand Slam title on your resume. She is a former Wimbledon champion. She is the reigning Australian Open champion. She possesses one of the most effective first serves in the history of women's tennis, routinely clocking in the high 100s and painting lines with the kind of pinpoint accuracy that makes even the best returners in the world settle for simply getting the ball back over the net rather than taking a swing at a return winner. Her ground strokes are flat and penetrating in a way that punishes opponents who try to match her power and overwhelms opponents who have no alternative plan. Going into this match, the tennis community looked at the tail of the tape and reached the kind of consensus that feels so obvious it barely requires saying out loud. Rybakina was going to win. Probably comfortably. The result was going to be another data point in the ongoing narrative about the gap between where Eala currently sits and where the true elite tier of the sport lives. That was the script. Eala tore it up before the first set was even finished. The first set did not lie to you about the challenge Eala was facing. Rybakina came out swinging with terrifying aggression and immediately confirmed every concern about the tactical mismatch. Her first serves were painting the lines. She was holding service games in under 90 seconds. When Eala tried to serve, Rybakina stepped 2 feet inside the baseline, took the ball early, and punished second serves with flat, devastating return winners that left Eala scrambling before she had even established a rally. Rybakina took a double break and the commentators were already composing their analysis of why this was always going to be the inevitable result. The first set went to Rybakina 6-3, and she looked completely, almost boringly, untouchable. A lesser player, a younger, less experienced competitor, would have looked at that scoreboard and begun making peace with the result. Not Eala. She sat down at the changeover, put a towel over her head, took a breath that contained the entirety of 7 years of Nadal Academy training and a childhood shaped by a grandfather who believed before anyone else did, and rewired her game plan from the ground up. What happened next is what separates good tennis players from great ones, and what makes this victory significant beyond the ranking points it delivers. Eala diagnosed the problem with a clarity that most players never achieve even across full careers. Matching Rybakina's pace was organizational suicide. Rybakina is built for pace. She takes your power and uses it against you, redirecting flat balls into open court faster than you can recover your position. So Eala stopped giving her pace. She decided instead to drag the ice queen of Kazakhstan into the mud. As the second set opened, the tactical architecture Eala deployed was simultaneously simple in its concept and extraordinarily difficult in its execution. When Rybakina served, Eala backed up. She stepped so far behind the baseline that she was practically standing in the California desert itself, buying herself the fraction of a second she needed to read the massive delivery and get the ball back deep into the middle of the court. She stopped chasing return winners and focused entirely on neutralizing the serve's effectiveness by eliminating its intended purpose, the short, weak ball that sets up Rybakina's aggression. Once the rally started, Eala changed the geometry of the entire match. She stopped hitting flat drives and started rolling heavy, looping topspin deep into the corners. On the Indian Wells surface, gritty, high friction, designed to grab heavy topspin and kick it violently upward, those balls were jumping up into Rybakina's shoulders, right into the dead zone of a tall player's strike zone where the natural mechanics of a flat, powerful swing become difficult and uncomfortable to execute. Rybakina cannot generate her devastating flat power off balls sitting at shoulder height. She has to muscle them, generate her own pace from scratch, and the results are not the same. The forehands started going wide. The backhands started finding the net. The frustration that began appearing on Rybakina's face was the visible expression of a tactical problem she had not encountered in this matchup to that point and had no immediate answer for. Then came the drop shot. And if the heavy topspin was the tactical foundation of Eala's second set transformation, the drop shot was the cruel and merciless flourish that completed the dismantling. She would pin Rybakina deep behind the baseline with 3 or 4 heavy topspin forehands, waiting until Rybakina had planted her feet and committed her weight backward, and then suddenly slice a delicate, feathery drop that barely cleared the net and died on the court before Rybakina could close the distance. The world number 3, a 6-foot player whose forward movement is the one identifiable crack in an otherwise fortress-like game, was being forced to lunge and sprint and scramble toward the net over and over, spending energy and leg strength in the California heat that she would desperately need later in the match. The stadium was watching something beautiful and brutal happen simultaneously. Eala broke early in the second set. The Filipino faithful in the stands erupted. They could smell something changing. Eala took the second set on the back of relentless defense, tactical precision, and the specific kind of mental composure that you cannot teach and cannot manufacture. You either have it or you do not. The match was level. The third set was a war. Both women knew exactly what was at stake, and both competed with a ferocity that had the stadium holding collective breath through every game. Rybakina took a medical timeout before the final set, a psychological gambit as much as a physical necessity, designed to break Eala's momentum and give the world number 3 a moment to reset and refocus. When she returned, she looked revitalized, found her first serve again, and for 6 games the match was locked at 3 games apiece with neither player giving an inch. And then came the moment that this match will be remembered for. Eala serving at 3-4 in the deciding set. Rybakina unleashing 3 unbelievable return winners in sequence, flat lasers right down the line that were hit with the full aggressive fury of a champion who understood this was the moment the match had to be closed. Love 40. Triple break point. 3 opportunities for the world number 3 to break the underdog's serve and march toward the finish line she had been trying to reach since the second set slipped away from her. The stadium went silent. This was supposed to be where the story ended. This was supposed to be where the ranking differential and the experience gap and the firepower advantage asserted themselves definitively and sent Eala home with a valiant defeat that everyone would praise before moving on to cover the remaining draw. Eala saved all 3 break points. The first with a massive kick serve that forced an error. The second by winning a 25-shot rally, 25 shots, in a deciding set, serving at love 40, against the reigning Australian Open champion, by refusing to miss a single ball until Rybakina finally cracked and sent a backhand long. The third with a serve and volley that belongs in a highlight reel that will be played for years, a vicious slice serve out wide, a sprint to the net, and a calm forehand volley into the open court that sent the stadium into absolute chaos. Deuce. You could see it happening in real time. The psychological damage of having a triple break point stolen away landing on Rybakina's shoulders with a visible and immediate weight. In the very next game, Eala pounced. At 15-40 on Rybakina's serve, Eala had double match point. The final rally ended with Rybakina, desperate and drained, hitting what should have been a clean inside-out forehand winner, The kind of ball that wins free points against 99% of the women on the WTA Tour. Eala was caught going the wrong way. She scrambled, skidded completely out of the frame, and launched a desperate defensive lob that hung in the desert air for what felt like the entire history of Filipino tennis. Rybakina set her feet. The easiest shot she had seen all day. She swung and buried it into the bottom of the net. The pressure, the exhaustion, and the absolutely relentless spirit of the 20-year-old on the other side of the court had shattered the world number 3's focus at the precise moment it was needed most. Game, set, match, Alex Eala. She dropped her racket. She fell to her knees. The tears came immediately and without restraint, and they were the most earned tears in women's tennis this year because they represented not just the victory but everything that went into producing it. Every early morning at the Nadal Academy, every small court the WTA put her on, every crowd locked outside a stadium that was too small for the following she had already built, every questionable call, every narrative that suggested she was not yet ready for moments exactly like this one. 54 unforced errors from Rybakina. Not truly unforced. Forced by a tactical masterpiece from a player who came into the lion's den without fear and left having proved that pure power can be beaten by a brilliant mind and an unbreakable heart. The draw has opened. The question is no longer whether Alex Eala belongs at this level. The question is who in that draw is brave enough to try and stop her. Now we need every single one of you in the comments immediately. Did you see this upset coming? What was the turning point that made you believe she was going to do it? And how far does she go in this tournament? Drop it all right now, smash that like button to push this extraordinary story to every corner of the tennis world. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss a single moment of what is becoming the most compelling story in all of professional sport, and share this video because the Philippines deserves to see it everywhere. Laban Alex. The draw is open. The future is now.